contemplate maybe doing a bond issue. It's something that I wasn't comfortable with, raising your taxes and going out to, we all want a brand new facility, and I would certainly support it, but we have a building that we need to take care of and get it in shape, and some of the activity in that courthouse has gone down due to the McGirt rulings. A lot of cases now are shifted out to federal courts, so it's relieved a lot of pressure at the courthouse. But we're replacing the brick, the marble, and the windows on the exterior. And for the first time ever, we'll have insulation on the exterior of that building. We'll have R factors in the windows, so it'll be energy efficient. There'll be savings on that end. In the interior, we're doing life safety issues, heat and air, sprinkler systems. Number one, the elevators are in bad shape. They're going to be fixing those. So while we're contemplating doing something in the future, the judges, the juries, the attorneys, and the general public that go in that building, we're making sure that they're having a safer environment to work in and to do their business. So, and beyond that, we have a new election board across the street from East Central High School on 11th Street. That too was using ARPA funds, and that's some of the federal dollars, and those don't affect your taxes. I mean, you have 1/50 of that, but this is something that they've been talking for a decade about a new election board, and this will be a great amenity to the county, a very good sized building. Already utilized it on the runoff recount and also early voting on the presidential election. But we've been at the old Safeway where we've been on Denver for a long time, outgrew it many years ago, so this is going to be a welcome facility for the Tulsa County residents. Access off of 169 is going to be great. It's going to be good for Owasso, Broken Arrow, South Tulsa, and even Midtown. So again, between that and the courthouse, those are all federal dollars that we didn't have to go to the public and ask you to raise your taxes to, because we don't have that kind of cash just sitting around to go build a building. And so and I was going to talk about the sheriff's facility. I'll let him do that. We have right in our district, just down the road, and he's very proud of that and should be. And just recently, we were advocates at the Capitol for some funding for roads and bridges, mainly bridges, structurally deficient bridges. We've been on a program to educate the elected officials at the Capitol and municipal officials about the number of structurally deficient bridges here. You drive over a bridge, you think it's safe, you don't know what's under it, and a lot of them need attention. There's just not enough funding, so looks like we got some bills passed that will provide funding for county governments across the state of Oklahoma, and we're going to get serious about repairing these bridges. So that, I could go on and on, but I want to introduce Sheriff Vic Regalado and kind of give us an update on what's going on in the county at the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Some of the things I want to cover have been talking about a lot lately. I've been receiving a lot of feedback from the public, asking questions in regards to how we're doing this and that. So I want to cover three things. First and foremost, our 287G program, our immigration program. Is everybody here familiar with that, or at least heard of it? Good, because Mike Willis has. So I want to explain what our role is in immigration enforcement and what it's not. What our role is we have a program called the 287G where we have specially trained detention officers that if you are arrested and you are in this country illegally, we put you through a program, and if it determines your citizenship and you're not here legally, we place a detainer on you through ICE. Then you have to go through your local charges first, and once those are either dropped or you're convicted or whatever, then you are in the custody of ICE. But we're the custodians of those individuals. And right now, that's a 72-hour program, so what that means is we hold you for about 3 days, and then ICE picks you up and transfers you out. Some of the questions I've gotten over it. So, first and foremost, let me cover this. How many of you are familiar with JailNet and how to pull up mugshots from our jail? A few of you. So you have the ability, if you didn't know, to pull up mugshots from our jail. Now, people have seen inadvertently mugshots from our 287G detainees have been put on there. That was through mistake. We cannot put mugshots of federal inmates on our JailNet site. So what has happened is there's been some people who actually thought that we were hiding our detainees and all these good things, because we immediately took them down when we found out that they were being posted on JailNet. We are not hiding them, but it is against the law, federal law, to put those inmates' mugshots out to the public. So that's why you don't see them. It's not that we purposely took them down. Secondly, again, we hold them for 72 hours and then they're transported out. They do have the opportunity to go to immigration court. There's been a lot of talk, especially the national media, in regards to President Trump deporting people without due process. Okay, that's not true. You do get due process as an illegal alien here in America. So you enjoy the same constitutional rights as a citizen of the United States, 4th, 5th, and all the amendments that cover your rights. So they do get due process. Once they've gone through that, and the judge says deport, then they're deported. Okay, so many of you have heard of the Maryland dad, they call him that. Okay, that individual actually had due process, and twice a federal judge said deport. Okay, so now all of a sudden they're putting it out that he was just picked up and without his rights he was deported. That is not true. So that's kind of a nutshell version of what we do. Now, we do not go out and conduct any kind of raids, but neither does ICE. The word raids, that's a media thing, okay? If you see ICE out and about, it's because you've been targeted and they're going to pick you up for one reason or another. Typically here in Tulsa, it's because you have an extensive criminal background. And so those are the ones that they are targeting, okay? But past that, that's the beauty of the 287G program, is if you get arrested and you're here illegally, you're probably going to get deported, depending on immigration court. If you don't, then, you go on doing what you need to be doing. So, any questions on that before we move on a little bit?
One question. I did see some of the flack that you guys were getting about taking those pictures down, and I understand why you did it. However, before they came down, many of those individuals were listed as white, not Hispanic.
Glad you brought that
Why
up.
is that?
Yeah, so we've heard that before, is that we're putting white on everything to cover up.
I know better
We
than
do
that.
not have control over that. So remember, we're a jail, right? People bring people who've been arrested to our jail.
So that's when
The arresting agency fills out what's called an arrest and booking sheet. Now, admittedly, some get lazy and just go white or black and just keep it white or black, instead of taking the time to go, okay, you're Hispanic or you're Asian, and putting that properly on the A and B. If they put white, our detention officers, their job is to take that information and import it into our system so that we have that individual listed in our jail, in our custody. We do not look to go, wait, that's not a white guy, it's a Hispanic guy, and change it for you. That is a responsibility of the arresting agency, not ours. And we've put that out many times before, but people still don't want to believe it. And,
Is there a way for, okay, since we can't look at any of the illegals because that's federal, but is there a way for us as individuals, when we see situations like that we can find out who the arresting agency is and say something to them?
you can go to that agency and request the A and B.
Do we
That's
have
an
a way?
ORA.
From what we can see on your website at the jail, can we find out who the arresting agency is?
Not if it's an individual who's in federal custody.
No,
not.
but I mean just any,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You could.
I want to make sure that I can get that information out for you guys too, so that this misinformation doesn't continue to spread.
Yeah. Again, we can't control what people put on there, but we've actually discussed this publicly a million times. We are not the agency responsible for putting race on those
Believe it
AMBs.
or not, a lot of people have not heard it, because I never heard it. And you know me,
Yeah.
I'm up on everything.
Well, tell them for me.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will.
Secondly, many of you are familiar with the 11 individuals that escaped in the prison or from the county jail in Louisiana. Okay, so the reason I bring that up is The conditions of that jail were terrible. Okay, the sheriff there, whomever was responsible, did not keep up with capital improvements. Obviously, the jail was run down, despite the fact that it's only 10 years old. Secondly, they were working at 40% capacity. So 40% of the 100% detention officers were supposed to be there, they were operating at 40%. Why? Probably terrible recruiting, people not wanting to work, low pay, all those things that go into that right now. And especially over the last 10 years, because of the defund law enforcement movement, a lot of people retired, and a lot of people decided they didn't want to go into this kind of work. Being a detention officer is an extremely hard job, and probably the most often overlooked part of the criminal justice system. And so what happens if you don't realize that and put the extra effort into recruiting, getting paid, and managing your jail, you're going to have those escapes, okay? Now, that brings us to Tulsa County Jail. How does that, affect us? Well, I will tell you that the county as a whole has done an excellent job in keeping up with the capital expenditures of our improvements of our jail. We've got new roofs, safety glass, all those things. We don't see it, identify it, and then do nothing about it, right? And these things are expensive. Let me tell you right now, jails are the most expensive things around. And you don't get money back from them. They're not a money-making business. So they're extremely expensive, but they're extremely important as well. And, and I'll go into briefly what we do in the jails. But to put you guys at ease, the jail is very sound. It's one of the best jails from an architectural standpoint in the country. It's flat instead of going up high like Oklahoma County, which is a death pit. And we just now, after 8 years of intense recruiting, our county recognizing the pay being very low and bringing it up to at least a standard of pay across the country, we are now as close to capacity in terms of employees at the jail than we have ever been, not just in my tenure, but ever since the jail was created in 1996. So that's awesome. And because when you have employees there, right, you have less problems, you have less lawsuits, and in the end, it's cost savings from an overtime standpoint. Just a few years ago, we were Iron Man, which means we were working at about a 50% capacity, and we were having to hold people over and all these things, right? And so that's dangerous to our employees, that's dangerous to our citizens, and that's dangerous to our inmates. We are not facing that problem now, so knock on wood, because as soon as I say it, we have 20 people escape the jail. So rest assured, the jail is very secure. We've never had an escape there. The only ones that have escaped have been those that are on work crews and things like that, and they were immediately apprehended. So we have never had an escape from the actual jail. So we want to keep it that way because it's certainly, obviously, can be a dangerous situation if the wrong type of people escape our jail and get out to the public. Any questions, comments on that? Yes, sir.
Sheriff Victor, how many inmates are you averaging per year, just off the top of your head? That's
About 1,400. So our jail has a 2,000 person capacity, but for about the last 6-7 years, we've been around 1,300 to 1,400 inmates. In our jail, if you're not familiar with it, we have the state's largest mental health facility. That is not something that I say with a whole lot of pride, because that just means the state of Oklahoma has dropped the ball on mental health. But since we have it, we are extremely proud of the work that is being done in there. We have the state's only medical assisted, this went out of my head, MAT program, medical assisted something. But it allows us to actually treat people that have severe drug addictions. We can actually give them medicine that gives them a head start once they leave jail to continue the substance abuse programs that they started in our jail. And we also give it intense therapy within our jail. So we're very proud of that. I believe that we have changed a lot of lives in regards to substance abuse and mental health issues, but we have a long way to go. And the problem is that anybody here think that a jail is the proper place for mental health treatment or substance abuse treatment? It's not, right? And so here's the drawback. We currently have about 51 inmates that are awaiting jail competency restoration. If you don't know what that is, That is somebody who's been arrested, and the judge says, hey, this individual has some mental issues, and we want to figure out through treatment, is this somebody that can be brought back so that they can enjoy their constitutional right to help defend their charges? Or is this somebody who needs to be placed in a facility for long or at least medium-term treatment? 51 of those individuals in our jail, ODMH is tasked with providing that treatment and has not. They got a lot of problems over there if you haven't read or seen the newspaper. And so the problem with that is that it's really tiptoeing the line of a constitutional violation. If these individuals don't know why they're in our jail and we're holding them against their will, I see a serious issue with that. Secondly, they're not getting the treatment that they need. And so, in other words, these individuals are languishing in our jails. And that is not the job of the jail. That was what ODMH was created for and constitutionally tasked with treatment. And that hasn't occurred. So, as usual, when the state or federal governments drop the ball, local authorities have to pick up the pace, and we assume that burden. And that's what is happening right now. And as far as mental health across the state of Oklahoma, whether you realize it or not, you are shouldering, especially from a financial standpoint, mental health, substance abuse treatment, and all those things that the state of Oklahoma, quite frankly, has dropped the ball on. Anybody see an increase in homelessness? Yeah, right? It's ridiculous. If you think Tulsa's bad, it is. Go anywhere else and go to their downtowns and see if they have the amount of homeless people that Tulsa, Oklahoma has. You won't, right? Unless you go to New York City or New Orleans or some place like California, where they simply have turned their backs on mental health and substance abuse treatment. So, extremely important, and we continue to, again, advocate for better treatment of our mentally ill as well as our substance abuse. Which brings me to the last thing, is that we've had an opioid crisis across this country that's killed thousands of people. Believe it or not, we've had, in the last year, we had 43 overdoses in our jail, and we were able to bring all 43 back using Narcan. The problem is that when this problem started, when this crisis started, Narcan, you could usually bring somebody back from the brink of death with one dose. It's now taking about 13, 14, 15 doses to bring these people back. That drug is so powerful is that we have actually interviewed individuals who have almost died and said, hey, listen, you almost died. Are you ready for treatment? And they're like, no, you can just save me with Narcan. So we got a problem. When you're about to die and they still go, I still want to, mess around with opioids. I would like to tell you it's gotten better. It has not. Now there is a new version of the opioid called Nestrazine, which is about 5 times more powerful than your normal opioids. And it's a horse tranquilizer is what it is. So it's amazing what people are ingesting, but the fact of the matter is they are ingesting it, and we have to combat that. And so, intense therapy we're providing. We're also looking at thinking outside the box. And there's what's called a drone dog that is now available that is able to pick up the scent of opioids. We can't just send dogs in there because it's killing our dogs. But this robot can pick it up, and unfortunately with technology it is expensive, but at some point we really got to find a way to at least protect individuals in our jail. And then in terms of outside our jail, enforcement, treatment, and education are still the foundational components of getting people off drugs. So, and we've been in the drug problem for a long, long time. Any questions, comments? Good. Hey, thank you for your time.
Tulsa County is very fortunate to have Vicar Glados, our county sheriff, does a great job. We're so appreciative, and a great businessman. He saved the county millions of dollars of how he operates the jail, and it's your tax dollars, and he's cut our expenses down unbelievably, so we appreciate all that. Michael Willis, our county clerk. Michael, come on. Appreciate it.
I know that most of y'all know everything the county clerk's office does. So, I'm just kidding. There's only about 10 people in here that do know that. I'll give you a quick snapshot of what we do, and then talk to you about a couple of issues that we're working through this time of year, and some kind of hot button national issues that impact you through the county clerk's office. So, First of all, I like to refer to myself as kind of the chief nerd of Tulsa County. I'm the chief record keeper, bookkeeper, land record keeper, the transparency guy. I keep the checkbook in association with our county treasurer. We have matching checkbooks, if you will, for transparency's sake. And we have 6 divisions in our office. The biggest one is our real estate and land records. We have about 15 people that work in that. We keep all the county's records in terms of real estate. So if you own real estate in Tulsa County, or you have a mortgage or liens or anything like that going on in the county, we have those in our office. We can ever help you with that stuff. Please come see us. Call me. Call my office. I was telling my new friend Deborah over here, thank God I've got about 42 people that work for me that are all smarter than me. And they're very good at what they do. So I'm really fortunate to be able to work with them and serve them. So we have the Real Estate Services Division. We have the Administration and Support Division. So we have a board of county commissioners. We have a budget board. We have a tax roll corrections board. We have a board of equalization. Lots of public boards that meet at the county level. And my office administers those agendas and tries to help put those board meetings together. It's real difficult wrangling 3 crazy county commissioners that all have different agendas and stuff going on, but we do our best to put all those together and get those meetings put together and run those with full transparency. Anytime you want to see stuff that we have available or things that the commissioners are voting on, I believe we might be still the only county in the state that lists out our actual agenda with links to every single item that the commissioners also see when they're thinking about casting their votes. So we're pretty transparent with all that stuff, which I think is very important because all of our records really belong to all of you. Third division I'll talk about, our budget division. We're essentially the air traffic controllers for money inside the county organization. We'll talk about the budget here in a minute a little bit more. We pay all the bills for the county. So when the sheriff has to buy safety glass for the jail, or Commissioner Sallee and Engineer Mills and Wes have to buy asphalt, pavement, concrete, and all that stuff, we help get those checks out the door. Again, in association with our friends in the county treasurer's office. We make the payroll for the county. I think right now we've got around 1,500 full-time employees. We make payroll once a month for our full-time folks, twice a month for our seasonal and part-time people. And then, let's see, I'm forgetting one division right now. Talked about accounts payable. We pay about 33,000 bills on behalf of the county every year. And then our finance division that handles really the heavy-duty accounting. So we handle the general ledger for the county. We do all the asset accounting. At any given time, we're managing 16,000 to 17,000 different assets for the county. So anything with a value of over $1,000, we kind of have to keep an eye on one way or the other. So whether it is, specialized equipment the sheriff uses for defense, ballistic vests, those sorts of things, patrol cars to road graders and dump trucks and all those kind of things, we have to keep track of all that. Printers, computers, office chairs, desks, a lot of stuff. So anyway, those are the 6 divisions that we cover. The county clerk's office. Talk a little bit about transparency. So we talked about our agenda. Back in 2017, I partnered with the county treasurer's office to put the county's checkbook online. If you're ever interested in digging into county finances, it is all there and ready for you. You can go as shallow or as deep as you want. You can do that on our website. I've got some collateral material I'll hand out to you here in a bit, but we've partnered with a group called OpenGov. Literally, you can see every bit of finance stuff in the county, from the checkbook to our budgets and all that stuff in near real time. We update it once a week, so it's pretty cool. If you're a nerd, like that. So our budget, we're right in the middle of budget season. Actually, we're getting to the end. Your county government, on any given year, this year we're going to spend a little more than $100 million in our general fund budget. And the overall spend at the county, probably $150 to $160 million. Some of those funds come in from sales taxes we get to run the jail and other sources, but our general fund budget that we're about to hopefully approve in the next couple weeks is a little over $100 million this year. We have 8 elected officials at the county. The commissioners have the lion's share of our divisions, but certainly the sheriff has the most employees, so we have divisions that spend a lot of money to provide services. And we have doubled down. The sheriff mentioned, we talked about pay for our critical employees. I think we've done a good job of that over the years. but we've also doubled down on infrastructure. We're the only county in the state of Oklahoma that puts literally millions of dollars from our general fund into roads and bridges. And that's been really a big deal, and it really relates, this is more Commissioner Solis stuff, but it really hits our pavement index across the county. So we've been able to do more because our budget board has prioritized that. We're working on the budget this year, or this time of year. And then a couple things I want to mention about land records in the county clerk's office. Anyone ever up at about 2 a.m. and hear the deed fraud commercial from LifeLock or Title Lock or one of these things? Vic never sleeps, so he's up and heard. We do have a 10-cent deed and title fraud in Tulsa County. We routinely work with law enforcement. We've got a couple of great deputies in the sheriff's office that work with us on some of these issues that come up, and also the police departments around the county as well. We offer a recording notification service. It will not prevent someone from trying to attempt deed fraud on your property, but if we know about it super fast, we can work with our friends in the assessor's office. You see Tracy's here from the assessor's office, and we can help keep the process from completing to where you have to go hire an attorney, go file a civil court case to get your property remanded back to you when some knucklehead tries to steal it. So we have that. I'll pass that stuff out as well. On any given year, we're recording and indexing 170 to 175,000 different land records. So there's a lot of stuff that comes through. And knuckleheads will try to send fraudulent deeds and other documents through the process. By state law, we are not the police of land records, but we try to do our best to protect your property rights, because I think that's a pretty big deal across the country, but certainly we're serious about it here in Tulsa County. Last thing I want to mention about one of our service offerings, and I'll mention my good friend Frank Whitlock, who is a Purple Heart recipient, combat veteran, U.S. Marine, and we actually record and index DD-214 military discharge papers in the county clerk's offices. Every county clerk across the state of Oklahoma will do this. State law allows us to do it for free, which we love being able to do. So if you or your family or friends are veterans of the military, please have them call me, have them come up. We record the DD-214, we put a little recording sticker on it, hand it right back to you, but we keep that in a lockbox for you. So, like, let me pick on Stan, couldn't necessarily come in and ask for a copy of Frank's DD-214. Only Frank and his direct family could have access to that. So we do keep that in a lockbox. It's the only document that we have that's not truly a public document. So we offer that for our veterans when they need assistance or they lose their DD-214, because despite the fact that lots of good things are kind of happening at the federal level, the Veterans Affairs Department still does take a long time to turn over a new DD-214 or a copy of that. So anyway, that's what I want to mention to you all. We'll be available to talk after this for individual stuff, but I sure appreciate you all, and any way we can be of service to you, I want you to let us know. So thanks very much.
How many property frauds slipped past you?
Well, I can't answer that completely. I don't think we've had really any slip past us completely. Once we know about it, we work with law enforcement to try to rectify the situation. But unfortunately, sometimes it does take the effort of the citizen and rightful property owner to have to go through the legal system to get that sort of undone, if you will. But everyone we've been made aware of, we've been able to work with them. And it doesn't happen here all that often because Oklahoma is still an abstracting state. But some of the, I could talk way more about this, but just give you a couple things. If you own property that's paid off, if you own property that's vacant, or if you have relatives that are elderly or have some other certain situation where they're transitioning away from living in their own home to moving in with another family member, or if they have caretakers coming by, we've had issues of caretaker neglect and fraud, people trying to coerce the rightful property owner into signing over a deed to them, and that's nothing new. That's been happening forever. But with all this deed fraud stuff, we found some additional occurrences of that. But we work with the property owners to try to make sure that they don't actually suffer a true loss.
Thank you, Michael.
Commissioner,
Appreciate it. You bet. And One thing, Michael, he mentioned, our county is a budget board county. Not every counties are structured like that. A lot of them, the 3 county commissioners, they decide on the budget. A lot of power, a lot of direction of where they want that money to go. And I like the way we're structured. It gives everybody skin in the game. It forces us to work together. And, you know, that's part of how Vic and the jail and his officers received, you know, a big pay increase. I mean, because we understand his issues, he understands our. That map here had a lot. It wasn't Stan Slee or another county commissioner saying I got bad roads. We had a third party come in and say here are the bad roads of the county, and it helped sell to the budget board. Yeah, we do have an issue, and we will come up and spend some more money on our infrastructure. So just wanted to share that. Let's talk some treasure business. John Fothergill.
Good evening. Unfortunately, my presentation is not nearly as exciting as the other 3. The treasury is kind of boring, and that's a good thing. Basically, I'm the bank for the county. I take in all the tax payments, and then I distribute them to all the taxing entities, and that goes from all the school districts in Tulsa County, all the cities in Tulsa County, health department, the library, Tulsa Tech, Tulsa Community College. We have a drainage district. We have 2 volunteer fire departments that are allowed to collect. And so I collect all that money and then I distribute that out. I also file mortgages. So there's a mortgage fee that I collect. I send out tax stamps for farm implements that are sold inside Tulsa County. And take some of that money, give some of it to the schools, and some of it goes to the county. I collect on new car sales. There's a tax stamp for that as well. And so that's basically all we do. But we service, we're going to take in $1 billion, over $1 billion this year, and that's the taxes that are paid by the citizens of Tulsa County. And then those go back mostly to the schools. About 53% are to public schools. About another 10 to 12%, just depending on where you are, go to Tulsa Tech, Tulsa Community College. Just depending on what city you live in, the GEO bonds that go to pay for like police cars and fire trucks and your sewer plants and your water treatment facilities, those are paid for by property taxes that go to pay off bonds for your cities. And so I collect all those as well. I want to say a few things about my colleagues that spoke in front of me. And I truly think that I'm extremely lucky to be elected at this time in Tulsa County's history, in that we're kind of in what I would call the golden age. Number one, we all get along. And that hasn't always happened in the past. As a matter of fact, between the assessor and the treasurer, there was some tension for quite some time. And we rely on each other to pass information back and forth to make sure we have accurate tax statements for you guys. And that's pretty important for everybody. And so the fact that we can sit down and talk now at any time is great. And so, you know, the relationships we have improved, and our staff, we're still having to work with each other. It's just the elected officials before us did not get along, and it just made it hard on everybody. Commissioner Salee, there's more green on this map today than there was when he started. And he was at the Capitol today trying to get some more funding from the state, which the state should be paying to the counties. We are a subdivision of the state. And so all of our roads are not our roads. So there's state roads that we take care of for the state. And so he was at the state capitol trying to get more funding from the state back for those roads. Vic, when he became sheriff, and I will say, you know, when he first announced that he was running for sheriff, I was not for Vic. And I was 100% wrong. I'll say it.
Tulsa cop.
I'll say it. I was 100% wrong. When I came in to the county, the general fund was giving $3 million, and that was going up every year. But the year I came in, it was giving $3 million to the jail to run and operate, function, out of the general fund. Well, as of this is about 4 years ago, that went down to zero. And as a matter of fact, you know, today I would say our jail is probably one of the best run in the country, definitely in the state. And you know, our sheriff's deputies are well-paid, well-trained, and well-equipped. And so that's because we have a great sheriff. And so, you know, that's another star in our cap as far as Tulsa's concerned. And then we have Michael Willis, whose job I took to come to the county when he left his when he got elected. And so he's the one that kind of pulled me towards Tulsa County, got me started in my foot in the door. And so he's done many things at the clerk's office that have a ripple effect down the line for the entirety of the county, including leading us changing our entire work platform, which is nobody's cup of tea. Nobody really wants to go through a change of your computer system, the entire computer system. But he led that charge, fell on that sword, and it's changed the way Tulsa County operates. We are extremely more efficient. We literally, when I signed up to become an employee of Tulsa County, I literally had to take a pencil and fill out 10 forms with my name, my address, my city, my state, my phone number as an employee. That's how they got everything, was I wrote it down and then somebody else typed it in the computer. Today, of course, you type it in as an applicant and it's sent to everybody that needs it because we've changed computer systems. And so it's little things like that make Tulsa County better. And I will brag on myself a little bit. When I came into office, I had 39 employees. Today I have 37 employees. In the next 2 or 3 years, I'll be down to 35 employees. Now that's not because we have less to do. We have more work every day. But it's because we are becoming more efficient. And that's not necessarily because of me, it's because of technology. But the willingness to implement that technology is because of me. And I wanted to be on that cutting edge for Tulsa County citizens. There was a discussion at the city council, Tulsa City Council, where they were trying to do payments for taxes, where you pay up in front. And there was legislation sponsored 2 years ago to do that. And I was against it. And they wanted to know why I was against it. It was because that legislation had the treasurers keeping the interest of that money. And that's not the treasurer's money. It's not Tulsa County's money. That's the people's money. So if we were going to put it in bank accounts and hold it for these people on taxes that they didn't even owe yet, I wasn't going to do that unless they kept the money. Because it's not my money. It's not Stan's money. It's not Mick's money. It's not Michael's money. It's your money. Well, it's a little bit of ours because we all have to live in Tulsa County too. But we're all 1/600,000th of the money because there's 600,000 residents that live in Tulsa County. And so that's the way I feel. And I think, that's pretty much the way that everybody in Tulsa County leadership feels. And so, that makes it so much easier to be an elected official when we get along, when we all have a good plan, and we're doing right for Tulsa County. So, thank you all. It's a pleasure to be your treasurer, and I look forward to being it again sometime. So, thank you.
For the sake of time, in your time, we're just going to split up in kind of different areas. And if you want to come around and pump roads, we'd love to have taxes or litigation and jails. They're big kids. But we welcome any question, and we're here to serve you and answer any questions you might have. So thank you for coming, first of all. We appreciate it, and it's an honor to serve you all. Thank you very much.